hypnotize you. Do you smoke?
Yes, why?
It's just that smokers sometimes have problems under general anesthetic. It's handy to know in advance.
Oh.
Now, if you'd like to head off down to the general admissions desk, I'll make the necessary arrangements.
Thank you.
Yes, sister, what is it?
I think it's time you heard the truth, Mrs. Reynolds.
The truth about what?
Miss Ferguson. She didn't bash Lou Kelly.
What do you mean?
The women framed her so they could get rid of her.
Have you known about this all the time?
Yes,
And yet you allowed matters to go this far.
The women told me to stay out of it. I knew what was happening, but I wasn't sure what to do.
I shouldn't have thought that would present a problem to someone with your sense of justice and fair play.
I'm sorry. I could see the women's side, too. I had to wrestle with my conscience.
Well, now that you've come to terms with it, you'd better tell me everything.
It was a setup. Miss Ferguson's been having some kind of blackouts, and the women used that against her. I can't give you any names.
You don't have to. It's obvious who's involved. Take Selby to isolation, please, and make sure she sees no other prisoners on the way.
Right. Oh, please, Mrs. Reynolds, no. I can't have the women thinking I don't have the courage to face them.
Courage? I'd call that stupidity. I don't want to have to wrestle with my conscience over your murder, thank you very much. Mrs. Barry.
Come along. Come along.
Yes, call the department, please. I want to speak to Mr. Fry urgently. Selby will have to stay in isolation for her own protection.
Did she say who was behind it?
No, but it's obvious Desmond and Kelly arranged it between them.
Desmond's never had any time for Kelly.
Nothing like a common enemy for uniting opposing forces.
We should have realised. They've tried to set Joan up before. Perhaps she was covering up for someone else.
No, Meg, it was a frame-up and Myra was responsible.
Poor Joan. I've never liked her, but I wouldn't wish this on her. I wonder if we weren't all a bit too ready to believe she'd done it.
The trouble is we wanted to believe it. Oh, and I think how much I trusted Myra.
Well, we all did, Mrs. Reynolds. Do you want me to bring her to you?
Much as I'd love to throw her into solitary right now, I'll wait till I've discussed it with Fry. He'll be here at any minute.
And not in the best of moods, I suspect.
Ready to point out how easily the women made fools of us all.
But he believed them too, remember?
Indeed he did, and like us, he's going to have to face the fact we've all done Joan an injustice.
You're down for immediate surgery. Are you in pain?
No.
Would you rather sit down while we finish this?
Let's just get on with it, shall we?
Certainly, Miss Ferguson. Do you have your Medicare card with you?
Nurse Simpson to emergency ward. Nurse Simpson at once, please. Emergency ward.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next of kin?
None.
Well, we need a relative or a friend's name, just in case.
There isn't anyone.
And Brown.
There must be someone you want to
There's no
identify.
one.
Please. Doctor's right.
Well, I think that's all. Oh, I need to know your occupation.
I'm a prison officer. I'm unemployed.
Right then. But if you'd like to take a seat, someone will be along to take you to a ward shortly.
Dr. Ian Jones to pathology, please. Dr. Ian Jones.
She must have spilt the lot or she'd be back by now. Bitch hasn't got the guts to face us.
She's got guts, that's our problem.
Oh, like hell. She'd do anything to make herself look good, including lagging.
Chances are they put her in isolation to keep some mad bugger like you from getting at her.
If I get my hands on her, she'll be meeting her maker a whole lot quicker than she expected.
Mongrel bitch. Things are real crook when you can't trust a bloody nun.
Look, I just don't get it. I mean, she spends her whole life standing up for what's right, and then she goes and dobs on us.
Her problem is she sees everything in black and white, good versus evil.
But getting the freak wasn't evil. I mean, she's been asking for it for
I
years.
know. I'm just saying that Anita doesn't think like us.
She doesn't know just how bloody evil the freak will be when she gets her hands on me. You two? She'll kill the pair of us. I bloody know it.
We've survived before.
Just hope I send that bloody nun back in here, because she won't survive 2 minutes.
Well, whatever happens to her now, it's her own fault.
Yeah, the lagging bitch.
I was right in the first place. I should have wasted that bitch when I had the chance.
And at no time did I see Miss Ferguson assault Kelly.
Is that it?
Yes.
And who are these mythical women that actually roughed up Kelly?
I'm sorry. No names.
That's because there aren't any, right?
What do you mean?
I mean that for some devious reason of your own, you decided to tell the governor a tissue of lies, calculated to get Ferguson reinstated.
You have no right to say that.
As head of the department, I have every right to stop a prisoner putting one over the governor. Did you hope to curry favour with the staff, or what?
I don't care what you're the head of, Mr. Fry. I'm telling the truth.
Thank you, Selby. That'll be all. Take her back to isolation, please, Mrs. Barry.
Come along.
You can't really believe that's enough to clear Ferguson?
I most certainly do. I don't believe Selby would lie. And I'm certain she wouldn't risk the vengeance of the women unless she knew she was telling the truth.
Ah, rubbish. She's probably got some deal going with Ferguson.
Her story ties in with Joan's claims about having dizzy spells.
Ah, that's just clutching at straws.
Ferguson did receive a head injury recently. If she'd been acting strangely, the women would soon pick up on it and use it against her.
Well, what's wrong with just ignoring Selby's statement?
Two things. For one, I won't be party to a cover-up. And I can assure you, Selby won't let it drop if we don't act on it.
Now, what could she do on her own?
Plenty. How would you feel about it if Ferguson went to the union with Selby to back her up?
Well, we couldn't have that. I'd probably call another strike.
Exactly. And if the papers got hold of it, I'm sure they'd have...
None of this need ever have happened if you'd conducted a proper investigation.
It was you who decided we'd question enough witnesses.
Contact Ferguson immediately and tell her she's reinstated. You can manage that, can't you?
Yes. Sir.
When your visitors arrive, I'll take you through to the interview room. You don't have to see them, you know that, don't you?
I'm afraid I must. Mother Mary Helen and Father Lennon are expecting some answers to some very difficult questions.
Are you all right?
I was wondering why I waited so long before telling Mrs. Reynolds the truth.
Things would have been better if you'd told us straight away. But you've done the right thing now.
I knew all along Miss Ferguson was innocent. But I also knew why the women were so desperate to get rid of her. I thought I was having a battle with my conscience.
Well, you've made the right decision. It must have been very difficult for someone like
No.
yourself.
I knew I'd tell the truth. But I waited. I didn't say anything.
Why not?
I was enjoying the power. The power to save Miss Ferguson. Mother Mary Helen's often accused me of a sense of pride and vanity. I think I'm beginning to understand why. Perhaps I love the idea of being true to God more than I love God himself. I genuinely care about the disarmament movement, but I pushed myself to the top where the world could see me. One reporter even called me Sister Supernun. I pretended humility, when really I loved it. The attention, the glory.
Aren't you being a bit hard on yourself?
Trouble is, I tend to be too hard on the people I really care about. Oh, I might have saved Miss Ferguson from the sack, but now everyone else is in a mess because I saw myself as God's most important little helper.